Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All2ReelToo.
Oh, spooky! Why is it so spooky today, Mike?
Today we are covering the latest episode of WandaVision, episode 6, entitled All New Halloween Spooktacular. Directed by Matt Shakman, written by Chuck Hayward, interesting last name, and Peter Cameron. Yeah. Aired on February 12th, 2021. Okay, yeah, this is a latest episode here. We got, a lot going on in this episode, Matt.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay. First off, it starts off, and this is kind of a late 90s, early 2000s sort of vibe to it. And the opening credits and theme song and everything are very Malcolm in the Middle-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're very inspired by Malcolm in the Middle, Pete and Pete, Clarissa Explains It All, sort of like those kind of things, in my opinion, you know?
Yeah.
Mostly Malcolm in the Middle, which is a very underrated sitcom of that time. The theme song, first off, before I get into that, Matt, what did you think of this episode? Like your reaction? I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, my reaction was pretty. I kind of, I think I kind of liked episode 5 a little bit better, just because it was a lot more intense than this one.
Yeah.
She with like the whole thing where she just like rolled the credits on Vision, like talk to the hand type of thing. But I still really did like this episode a lot. I mean, I thought this one was really interesting just because like the whole Malcolm in the Middle thing, like it's getting a little bit up to more to my speed. Like the era I grew up in was like the mid '90s, like when I was a kid, stuff like that. So like these kind of shows, you know, they kind of have like a sort of nostalgic thing for me. Like especially the commercial they do later on for the yogurt. Oh my god, that reminds me so much of like '90s, like hey radical, you know, type of commercials.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, I really liked it, you know, especially the costumes that people were wearing. It was very cheesy, you know, like, especially Vision's costume and Pietro's costume.
Yeah. They were all, like, comic book accurate and everything. Because that's what their characters look like in the comic books, so.
Yeah.
Where is this? Come on. Okay, yeah, so, in this episode, so the credits, like I was saying, which are very, they sound a lot like the, They Might Be Giants song that is the opening credits of Malcolm in the Middle, but, like, also kind of, like I said, like, kind of a Pete and Pete, Clarissa Explains It All vibe, too, to it, in my opinion. I don't know, that's just me. Kind of that era, you know?
Yeah. And also, too, the song kind of had a little bit more extra intensity to this one, because Malcolm in the Middle was kind of like in a major key. This kind of had a really disturbing kind of grating sound to it, like it was kind of meant to make you feel uncomfortable, like,
yeah.
Especially at that part where it said something about, like, distortion or something like that, and then, like, the vocals are all distorted. Like, I forgot. Yeah. I'm trying to find the actual lyrics.
I got the lyrics right here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, so the lyrics, these are what they say, which I think can apply to a lot of this here. It says, don't try to fight the chaos. Don't question what you've done. Some days it's all confusion. Easy come, easy go. But if it's all illusion, sit back and enjoy the show. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Through each distorted day. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Though there may be no way of knowing who's coming by to play.
Wow.
That was... Is that all the lyrics? Let me see, because I was reading that off of this website, but I thought there was more lyrics to it. But let me see here, because I wrote them down too.
May have just repeated some parts or something more time. yeah, but yeah. Oh, no, I really like the Malcolm in the middle. Oh, what's that?
Yeah, that's there's a part of it that's okay. There's a part of it that's missing here. Okay.
Okay.
They skipped a part. Okay, after where it says, "Don't question what you've done," it says, "The game can try to play us. Don't let it stop the fun. Some days it's all confusion, easy come, easy go. But if it's all illusion, okay, sit back and enjoy the show. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going through each distorted day. Let's keep it going through, though there may be no way of knowing who's coming out to play." Yeah, okay, so yeah, it's kind of, they skipped a little bit there. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting, kind of applies to a lot of this, like, who's really controlling this and everything.
Right.
And that the whole idea that, don't want to stop it. So
yeah, exactly. Like, no matter what you've done, just keep it going. Like, don't even like, you've already gotten this far. You pretty much just go for broke at this point. Like,
yeah. Don't fight it, man. Don't fight it. So okay, like I said, the show is set in like an early 2000s kind of setting here. Possibly like an amalgam of the late 90s, early 2000s. Malcolm in the Middle itself premiered in the early 2000s, so it's kind of got that vibe to it. So like it starts out, and Wanda wants to spend Tommy and Billy's first Halloween together as a family. In this part, then Vision. Oh yeah. But also, like, back to the credits here. I'm sorry, I'm going back to this. In the opening credits, we do see that Agnes is wearing purple pants, which is relative to the colors that Agnes Harkness wears in the comics, and on her bum it says naughty. So, just wanted to point that out.
Well, they made the joke last time about her sexual appetite or whatever too. Yeah. So,
so it could be implying that she's bad or that she's just naughty.
Yeah, it could be both. It could be both. You could enjoy, playing around with, her powers, or Wanda or whoever else, she's got under her tutelage or whatever. So, I mean, she's what, like 800 years old? I think at a certain point, you stop taking things less seriously at a certain point, or you just are able to have fun, I guess, with your great purpose or whatever.
Yes. Well, when I'm 800 years old, I'll get back to you on that when we're doing our like 5 millionth episode of All2ReelToo. We'll talk about it then.
Yeah.
When we're covering I don't know, direct to your brain sequels or something. I don't know what that
or we're covering Roboob or something like that. Great classic film.
Yes. Roboob. Yep. Anyways, so we like we said, so we start out, okay, and Wanda wants to spend time with, because it's the kids' first Halloween. And she wants to do it as a family, but Vision tells her that he's going to go on to patrol the streets to, stop the ruffians from, TPing and all that bullshit, that that kids do on Halloween, supposedly, in TV at least.
Such a Vision thing to do, too.
Yeah.
Like even pre-WandaVision Vision,
yeah.
He's all about, he's almost like Captain America in that sense. You know what I mean? Like, very straight cut morality,
Mm-hmm. He says he's doing that, and, she wanted them to spend the day together. She seems a little upset about it, but, first of this, though, it does kind of change point of views here, though, to the kids at the beginning. I know I'm kind of going all over here, but it's hard to remember everything. Yeah. At one point, the one kid says to the other, and they're talking to the camera like Frankie Muniz did on Malcolm in the Middle and stuff like that too. So it's very, very cool. They're afraid to wake up Pietro, who they think is really cool, their Uncle Pietro, and one of the kids says to the other one is like, you're afraid to wake him up because it's 4 in the afternoon and he's still sleeping, and you're afraid he might be a vampire.
Right.
Which is interesting because he's kind of undead. So.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
He's like the typical, they even call him a quote man child. They even do quotation marks. Like, he's like, the brother who shows up in town and just kind of crashes on the couch, and he's good with the kids because he's kind of like a kid at heart. That whole thing, that whole trope, whatever.
The whole
whole
Uncle Jesse sort of thing.
Yeah, but a little bit more extreme than that. But
but like I said, they think he might be a vampire, which I think is interesting. And I mean, that could just be because it's a Halloween spooktacular. And, you can't say that word normal, you know that.
Oh, you can't. It's against the law, actually, I think.
Yes.
Do that.
And, but yeah, and Pietro is kind of undead, so I think that might be some kind of, written on there on purpose. They're talking about, like, when they were kids, Pietro and Wanda are talking about when they went trick-or-treating as a kid and stuff like that. And Pietro says she is suppressing a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
So, I think that's interesting. And then we see them when they were trick-or-treating, and they look kind of like, even though I don't know if it makes sense timeline-wise, but they kind of look like Nick Fury and Black Widow.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of
it also too it kind of gives it was like really humorous, but at the same time gave you like a really tiny glimpse of like how terrible their childhood was in Sokovia. Like, you hear gunfire in the background, like there's like a civil war going on in the background, and you hear like sirens and shit, but like, it's made to be, really humorous, and then like, she's like, well, that's not how I remember it, type of thing.
Yeah. And that's when he says you're suppressing trauma. Yeah.
What she's doing, she's making everything seem kind of humorous, upbeat, to kind of hide away from the fact that it's actually extremely, traumatic for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, throughout the whole series, even, it's been like that. Like, it's like, because you could hear like gunfire in the background and stuff like that, and, like the old lady with the really messed up teeth and shit, because she can't afford to go to the dentist, and gives them like a raw fish as a as a gift.
Yeah, it's like so some interesting things I noticed here too. In this scene, after that happened, and she says that she wanted them to spend time as a family, and So Pietro says, "Old man has a conflict. The kids need a father figure for the night. Don't sweat it, sis. I got the old XY chromosome. Uncle P to the rescue." Okay, now I've got two things about this. Okay, he's pointing out the word X in XY. Is that implying that he's an X-Man? Or also, there's the theory online that he might not even be Pietro at all, and that he's Mephisto. If so, in the comics, Mephisto is really the father of the kids. And he says that he's a father figure.
Right.
So, I'm just wondering, and then later on, there's some stuff here, too, that where he sends them off and he says, create hell, demons spawn, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Very suspicious line rhetoric he's during the... And also, too, like, when like, they're trying to tiptoe around him sleeping, he's actually listening. Like, he's not even sleeping, he's pretending to snore.
Yeah.
And stuff, and he's got his eyes... Because they're doing the whole Malcolm in the Middle thing where they're showing his, point of view, but you can also see... the kids in the background talking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he, like, does, like, this, like, crazy uncle thing, where he's, that whole thing or whatever. And then, when she... So, like... Sorry, I'm kind of going off the rails, too, here.
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah.
So, like, Vision still knows about what's going on from the last episode. Like, he can't be controlled by her anymore. So, like, when he came down the stairs with this stupid costume... He kind of looks unhappy and stuff, and she said, she's trying to play along, like, "Oh, thank you for wearing that ridiculous get-up," and Vision says, "Oh, well, there's nothing else in the closet," and, it kind of gave her this sort of reproachful look, after that, like, reminding her that he knows what's going on, and then, when he said that he had other plans, she goes, "Well, that's not what you're supposed to," and she kind of catches herself, and he kind of gives her this look, like, "Supposed to do what?" Type of thing, like, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I thought we were, free here, and,
Yeah, it's like, he knows that something's up, and he's questioning her, which obviously is upsetting Wanda.
And the kids, too, because Billy says something like, they're not fighting exactly, but they're just being different.
Yeah. Which, yeah, they're being different than they were, like, yesterday.
Yeah.
When I was 5. Oh, wait, what?
Exactly. Now, like, it's their first Halloween. They're 10 years old. It's like, what?
Yeah. They, the whole episode does have a lot of, witch and black cat motifs too, which is interesting. But then again, it's Halloween, so that could just be because it's Halloween.
Yeah. So much stuff happened, Mike. It's hard to like. It's hard for us to stay on point because it's just so much. I know some of these YouTube videos and stuff. They like new rock stars and these people. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I watch these channels all the time, but like, they have a much more narrative approach because their videos are kind of shorter, so they just kind of go beat by beat, whereas we're more riffing on,
But that's why we're a podcast and not a YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyways, because if we were a YouTube video, this would be all slick and polished.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't wear nail polish.
Either do I. I don't like the way it smells.
No. It's got
personally
that weird alcohol-y kind of smell.
Yeah.
Anyways, so they take the kids out trick-or-treating. We go to outside of Westview at some point here too. And Hayward orders Monica, Darcy, and Jimmy to leave the base for disagreeing with his decision to attack Wanda. Yeah, and I think it's funny. The good line when he's saying something, he's like saying to Darcy, he's like, "Do you work for me?"
Yeah,
and she's like, "I don't know." And then Monica says she's with me, and then says something like, "So which one of you is the sassy best friend?"
Right.
That was a good line.
Exactly. Then that's when Jimmy shows up. Jimmy Woo shows up, and he's like, "So I guess he might be the one," because he's like, "You don't have time to diminish your colleagues or whatever." Mm-hmm. I forgot what he said. And plus, too, here we find out that, like, I'm starting to wonder if Hayward really is a villain, or if it's more because he offered the perspective of what it was like to be a survivor during that 5 years.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, with Monica, it's like you don't. For you, it was just like a second. You don't feel that 5 years. Whereas we had to deal with the fallout, and stuff like that. And
see, I don't think he's a villain. I think he's just not necessarily a good guy. I think he's not really a villain. He's just a dick. You know what I mean? He's not like he's not like a like a Hydra member or anything like that, in my opinion. But I mean, I could be totally wrong. But
we don't know that.
I don't think he's anything like that. I think it's totally a red herring to make us think that maybe he's Mephisto or maybe he's, controlling everything. I just think his morals aren't necessarily the greatest when it comes to things. But then again, he did live those 5 years that Monica didn't live. And a lot of shit was going on in the world, so he's got a lot of experience that other people don't have.
Right, yeah, the people who returned from the blip, many people died during that time. Like he said something about, like, it was hard to keep the lights on. I'm not sure if he meant at SWORD or just in general, because it seemed like there was a lot of upheaval. Because, like, even, like, when Ant-Man came back from the thing, he's walking through his old neighborhood. You just see all these trash bags, like, all over the place. Like,
yeah, it looks like a ghetto. Like, I mean, that could be the fact that, like, half the trash men in the world disappeared, and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, a whole bunch of things that we didn't see in Endgame, were happening, because of that, for 5 straight years. So that's pretty traumatizing. So yeah, I think he just has, like, a prejudice now against. Because he even said something like, "You're always constantly advocating on behalf of superpowered individuals." And he goes, "Yes, I know your history with Carol Danvers." So,
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, and like I said, the trauma that he's dealing with it, I mean, just even think about it on a level of somebody that's not working for some kind of government organization like he is, where it's like, say you're working at a factory, or like you're the manager of like a factory or a grocery store or something like that, and half your staff just disappeared.
Right.
How do you, it's like, oh, well, we don't have anybody scheduled from, on second shift here because they're all gone. It's just like, what the hell,
Disappeared.
Yeah.
Dead? I don't know. They just disappeared.
It's like, it's like,
wow.
It's like, you're working in a grocery store and it's like, well, the whole dairy department's just gone. Like, what the fuck are you gonna, you gotta go hire new people, you gotta deal with all that shit, and that's just on a, on a small scale, but then, you're thinking you're working for, like, even in a realistic, like, world, like, if you were working at the Pentagon or something like that and half of your staff's gone, like, you gotta, restaff, you gotta find new people, you gotta do all this stuff. It's crazy to think about that. I mean, I would really like to see just a series where it was something like that, like maybe some dude running a grocery store in a small town.
Yeah.
And the blip happens.
Yeah.
And, half his staff is gone and he has to deal with that shit.
Yeah.
But then again, half his customers would be gone too. But.
Well, true, but there's also complications for all kinds. Yeah, I mean, that would be a good show to have, like, the 5 years of what actually happened during that time.
And if you think of that too, like, if half of humanity's gone, the economy's going to be fucked up.
Right.
So it's like,
I mean, people need less stuff because there's only half the people, but still, just by the aspect of organizing everything is different now.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
like
reorganize
before,
everything.
You might have to find new people, but the thing is, the people that already were doing those jobs, they were probably the most qualified to do those jobs.
Yeah.
So now you find people who are not as good as that, which then means that it's not going to be as organized or as efficiently organized. And yeah, just again, like the whole, like, of course they couldn't get into that end game because the movie was already like 17 hours long to begin with. So like, you know,
and then you think about it too. I mean, I know we're going on a tangent here, but you also think about it. I'm just thinking about it playing a retail situation, you know, like with stuff that we've noticed here now with the pandemic going on, where stores can't be open as long or things like that. You've got a lot of stores and restaurants that have closed and stuff because of that. So like, if you think that there's like half the people in the world,
right,
there's going to be some business owners that, you know, nobody's coming to their restaurant or their, you know, hardware store or whatever they're running, you know, because there's no need for that many of them. So,
yeah, right, exactly. And also too, just, I know we're like totally on a weird tangent here,
yeah,
but also just like the mental health aspect too. A lot of people are probably depressed and anxious, so they're not going out as much, or they're not socializing as much. Like even in the episode when Captain America is like, he's running the whole the support group thing. Yeah. And that one guy was saying, you know, he went on a date, and then like the guy cried like before his salad got there, and then the other guy cried by the time dessert got there. So it's like people are not really living their lives like in a sort of good manner because they just are too depressed, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
so
anyway,
that's backdrop to what people,
because like, you know, your sister's gone now or something, you know, and you're like, what the hell, you know, because if half of humanity's gone, one of your relatives or friends is going to be gone. So,
right, and plus, you know, Hayward may have, you know, been friends with Monica's mother, you know, too, not just colleagues, and he could be just really beat up about that as well. I mean,
he had to deal with her cancer and stuff when Monica wasn't there.
Exactly. So there's lots of things of why he could be angry and prejudiced against, quote, superpowered individuals, because they can't use the term mutants, I guess, still, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, that's why it's the whole thing. Well, you got to realize that, you know, it's like, you can't judge people based on how they're treating you at the moment, because you never know what caused them to treat you like that at that moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
Obviously, you know, if somebody's a dick all the time, they're a dick all the time. But sometimes, you know.
Because he wasn't a dick in the first episode. I mean, episode 4, rather. But the first episode with Monica, he was actually quite kind and cordial and was happy to see her. And, you know, so, but then I think he might have a sort of protective thing about her, and he might be like angry at her because she's undermining him when in his mind, he pretty much rushed over there the second that she got inside Westview and was trying to protect her and get her out, you know, and he might see it as like not being thankful or whatever, you know, like, I don't know. I'm like really looking into things like,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, bottom line is, I don't think he's the big bad of this show.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to make it seem like, you know, I mean, he might be doing things differently than what other people would be, but I don't know if his intentions are necessarily bad. I mean, it's the same thing with Thanos. His intentions weren't bad, really.
Right.
You know, so it's a multi-layered thing, because a lot of people, you know, it's like the whole thing, like when you play a villain in a movie, you don't play it as a villain.
Right.
Because a villain never thinks they're the bad guy. In reality, you know, like, I mean, there's usually a mental reason that they're doing what they're doing or something like that, but they don't necessarily think what they're doing. I mean, I'm sure there are some people out there that are just psychotic idiots that totally just want to be assholes. But most of the time, a villain thinks that what he's doing is for the greater good or for his own good or whatever, and not realizing how much it's hurting humanity or his friends and family or whatever, you know?
Yeah, exactly. The days of the cackling villain, you know, like in early cinema, are not really there anymore. Yeah. Like, we're just one-dimensional character, you know, like, yeah.
It's like, I mean, even like, you know, Hans Gruber isn't necessarily doing what he's doing because he thinks it's you know, that he's a villain. He's doing it for other purposes, you know, so that sort of thing in Die Hard. But anyways, okay, so
Die Hard 3 is his brother trying to get revenge on that too.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So, the back to the show. So, do you want to take a break, actually, and then we'll come back and talk about this a little bit more?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll be right back, folks.
What is Gen X? What is the silent generation? What do generations have in common? Hi, I'm Trish the Dish from the Gen X Voice podcast, and I invite you to listen to conversations I have with folks from different generations, backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences in an attempt to see what connects rather than divides us. Even though Gen X has been called slackers, Karens, or not mentioned at all in some cases, we are the bridge generation, so I feel compelled to do my part to destroy ageism by bringing all these voices together. And, as a bonus, each guest gets to answer some 80s questions at the end of each show. So download and listen to Gen X Voice today on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And let's see how much we have in common after all.
And we are back. So, So in the show here, like I said, okay, now, Hayward orders Monica, Darcy, and Jimmy to leave the base for disagreeing with his decision to attack Wanda in the previous episode. Mm-hmm. They sneak back inside after they're escorted out. They hack into his computer and discover that he has been tracking Vision's vibranium signature. So words are hard, man.
Yeah.
So they're looking on into these files and everything, and Darcy's like hacking into everything. So, what are your thoughts on this here, Matt?
About the tracking Vision or whatever?
Yeah, that and the whole what all the stuff that Darcy's finding here.
Well, it's interesting because starting to wonder why Hayward is tracking that, specifically for what reason, and also too, Darcy ends up telling Monica that her DNA has been changed because of being in there once and then being ejected. And that if she goes in a third time, she might be changed forever. So that could be like an indication that she's going to become, what's her name, Spectrum or Photon? I know her mom's Photon, but
she becomes both in the comics, but Photon mostly. Yeah. I mean,
okay.
And at one point, I think she was even Captain Marvel. So it's So
basically, she has powers that kind of are comparable to Captain Marvel's, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And so I'm just interested in that, of why he's tracking Vision, almost exclusively to figure out what's going on with him. Is it just because scientific, or what reason?
Well, it's because they were basically operating on him before Wanda released him, right. So it's kind of interesting. Because in the last episode, they showed that video of her breaking in and stealing Vision.
Yeah.
And he said something like, I've just been given permission to release this video. Who's giving him permission? He's the director.
Right, yeah, exactly. I didn't really think about that. Who gave him the order? Who's the higher up?
Yeah. Does the president have something to do with this, or what's going on? You know what I mean?
Plus too, he showed the video, so it's you could see the video, Vision being in different pieces, but he wasn't hiding the fact that they were experimenting on him. No. So, or at least his synthetic body, or whatever you would call it. So he wasn't which again kind of makes me the idea of makes me the idea, really gives me the idea that he's not totally villainous because he's not hiding the fact that he was doing that. Like, it wasn't like some secret, like that you find out later in the show type of thing. Like, so he's just open about the fact that they were experimenting on his, body or whatever it was, perhaps to turn him into another weapon, or likely they were just actually just studying it to find things out more about it, type of thing. Just to know kind of like where he came from, because like Age of Ultron, frankly, was like my least favorite of the Avengers movie, but it was also one of the best because it introduced Vision and Scarlet Witch and stuff, so like, or Wanda, but I do not like that movie that much at all, actually. It's that when they come in there,
it's got its moments, but overall it is kind of a, kind of a boring one compared to the other ones. And,
exactly.
It's like,
DC was weird.
Whoa, what the heck just happened here? Okay. Yeah, and, so, in the, so basically, what we've got going on now is that, Monica is going to possibly, like you said, become a super hero. Or a mutant, or a mutant, maybe? I don't know.
It's interesting, right? Because Captain Marvel got her powers from a blast, and she absorbed the powers, but that was a scientific thing, whereas Monica's being affected by magic. So that's interesting right there. Anyway, yeah.
And it could it also could be something, awakening the X gene in her in her body or something, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Also,
that's how a lot of mutants came to be. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they already had the gene within them, but then it kind of got activated by a certain traumatic experience or whatever. Or which is kind of similar to like Harry Potter and like how magic is activated. Usually, it's usually happens when they're either anxious or something happens, and then it just kind of comes out of them.
Or how metahumans are in the DC universe, and things like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing with because DC has been doing the meta stuff for ages at this point with the TV shows and everything.
Yeah.
But also I wanted to bring up the fact that they right before I think Director Hayward kicked them all out, it was in response to when they actually brought in the drone was still glowing red, like a whole day after Wanda shot it and threw it at them.
Yeah.
So that thing is still glowing, still has her power crackling and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so let's go back into Westview here.
Sure. Oh, by the way, too, the drone was Stark Industry. Just all right. I'm done.
Yeah, I noticed that in the last episode, and I forgot to mention it. Yeah, forgot to mention it last week when we were talking about that episode. So in Westview, we Tommy and Billy are going out trick or treating with Pietro and Wanda, and interesting thing, at one point there is a movie theater that they walk in front of, and it's playing The Incredibles and The Parent Trap. Parent Trap was released in the late 90s. The Incredibles was released in 2004.
Okay.
They're both Disney movies. One's about twins.
Right.
One's about a family of superheroes.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
My main thing is I think it was just basically trying to imply that this era that they're in right now is an amalgam of the 90s and the 2000s. And
right.
Also the choices of the two movies are interesting, because it's about twins and then it's about a family of superheroes who have powers very similar to the powers of Wanda and Vision's family.
Right. I mean, I'm sure it is intentional. It very much is. Also, too, do you remember? Sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm writing things down.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm writing things down, and that helps me remember other things as I'm writing things down. So it's like weird like that. But anyway, so Tommy and Pietro are like stealing candy, using their super speed and stuff like that. And then Herb has got like a earpiece, and he's like, excuse me, so what? All the candy has been stolen, and wait a minute, all the jack-o'-lanterns have been smashed. And then they show them smashed. So he's like saying it right before it actually happens.
Yeah.
So like, but also too, smashing a jack-o'-lantern. I wonder what another word for a jack-o'-lantern is, and I wonder what popular band existed in the '90s where it had to do with pumpkins being smashed. Just throwing it out there. Pretty sure that was a nice little nod, I think, to that era a little bit. Smashing pumpkins.
Yeah.
Or as in like the Great Lion and Bowfinger, which is honestly one of the most underrated films of all time, in my opinion.
Mine too. It's my favorite comedy of all time. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a great movie. But when he's trying to impress the Heather Graham character, I forgot her name, but she's going, asking her like what her interests are to like pretend to like the same things that she likes, and then she's like, I love smashing pumpkins. He's like, me too. Do you want to smash some? Because he has no idea what he's talking about. Yeah. And she kind of gives him like this weird look, like, what?
That was a great movie.
Yeah. Anyway,
so interesting thing about Herb too is he's dressed up like Frankenstein's monster, which is a person who was dead and reanimated.
Right.
So there might be some clues or some metaphors there. He lets Wanda know that Vision isn't part of the Black Watch that night. So he lied to her.
Right.
There's another thing too. Like there was another line at one point. Pietro says he's about to run away, and he's like, "Kick ass." And then Wanda says kick ass and then has this weird look on her face, and it's totally meta because, both of the Pietros were in that movie. Both of the actors who played Pietro. So
that's such a cool, because she has like this almost like look like she knows, like she's like it's familiar to her, like she doesn't quite understand.
And that just makes me wonder, did she actually just recast her brother with Evan Peters?
Right. like wait a minute, like yeah. Well, too, like when Herb is talking, he goes, can I do something for you? Do you need something changed? And then she's like, oh no, everything's fine. So like, that was kind of
like he knew she's in control or something, So.
Yeah, exactly. Because it seems like him and Agnes are like they seem to have more understanding than everyone else about what's happening. Like
like they're in on it somehow.
Because one episode they were like whispering to each other, like they're like commiserating or whatever. Like
So I mean that's interesting.
Right.
Okay. So what happens next here? We've got after that. They're going around, smashing pumpkins and Nirvana-ing and they're not doing that. They're spraying silly string on people and all this other stuff and causing havoc and stealing everybody's candy. Basically what happens is at that point, I think still we haven't realized that at the first point when they're running around really fast, it's Pietro controlling the speed, and then all of a sudden the speed is awakened in is it Billy or Tommy that's the fast one?
Tommy's the speedster.
Okay, yeah. It's awakened in Tommy. Because then later on Billy's powers are awakened.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. He stops Tommy mid speed or whatever.
So
and he's like, "Whoa, cool, man!" Yeah.
So we see Vision in this Westview. He's going around the town and he starts seeing people like further away from like the hubbub that's going on in the town square.
Mm-hmm.
He goes further out in Westview and there's people that are just like standing frozen in their yards, like just doing the same motion over and over again.
Right.
There's a woman trying to hang something up, and at one point you see a single tear fall down her cheek, which was creepy as hell.
It's so sad.
Yeah,
I know.
and then he sees like other people, and he's trying to talk to this lady and ask if those are her kids, and she's not responding at all. She's just standing there.
Yeah, they're all just standing there, even the kids. Oh my god, that was such a sad and creepy scene. And also, too, right there, remember the last episode where he's like, how come there are no more children in Westview besides theirs? And now suddenly it's teeming with kids.
Yeah.
It was like, oh shit, I didn't think about that. I better make kids now in my reality, you know?
Yeah, and so, yeah, and then, I mean, that brings us back to, I mean, I'll come back to Vision here. But at one point, Pietro starts telling her, like, you know, where did you keep the kids? You know, were they all just safe in their beds and all this other stuff? Mm-hmm. Like he kind of knows what's going on.
Right.
And but she had questioned him too at one point and said, "What happened to your accent?" And he's like, "What happened to yours?"
Right.
And, you know, things like that. And why do you look different? You know, all these different things, trying to figure it out. And, like, she keeps questioning him. And, at one point, she, asks him about the orphanage that they were sent to and stuff. And it made me wonder at the time, and then I've read it elsewhere too, that maybe they were talking about, Xavier's home for gifted children.
Oh.
That, I mean,
interesting.
Because my feeling is it could be a possibility that maybe we're not being introduced to mutants. Maybe they were there the whole time and their stories were not being told. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that could be possible. They could be doing, it's just like in kind of like Arrow and Flash, they're all doing their own stories, you know? They can't always be, you know,
working together.
I mean, the world's a pretty big place.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't always be doing
not everybody in the world knows each other, either, you know.
Right.
And even if you do, it's not like, you know, it's not like if my friend in San Francisco has a problem right now, I can go help him right away. You know what I mean? It's just like,
right, exactly.
Yeah,
you got your own. I mean, like billions of people in the world. Mm-hmm. You know, you can all be, you know, rushing to like the Avengers' aid, for example. You know, like. You know, for example, during Endgame or even Infinity War, there could have been, you know, Thanos could have had, you know, his army all over the world, and, you know, mutants could be, you know, fighting off those people in different cities or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we don't know because we're only focusing on, like, the main characters, so.
I mean, it's just like, you know, while the events of Ant-Man and the Wasp are happening, there's other things going on somewhere else in the world, you know, but we're not seeing that. We're only seeing the events of what's going on with those two characters, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what makes me just wonder if, like, maybe mutants already exist.
Yeah.
But who knows? So, back to Vision. He decides to fly up above the city, and he transforms into his normal self out of his costume, out of his Halloween costume, and he flies to the edge of Westview, and he sees a car just sitting there, parked. So he lands, and in the car it's Agnes, dressed up like a witch. And she is saying that she doesn't know where the town square is. That she got lost, in the town she grew up in, as Vision points out to her.
Right, exactly.
And
the town you grew up in.
Yeah. And so they he does his little thing like he did with Norm in the last episode, where he wakes her up with his little vision power on the head doodaddy thingy,
right.
Right. And then she says, "You're one of the Avengers. You're Vision." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm Vision," but he doesn't know what the Avengers are.
Right.
And she asks if she's dead because she knows he is.
Right.
Which we've seen in all the previews for this, but putting it in context makes a little, more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, exactly. Because she's like, also too, we noticed that as soon as he wakes her up, she reaches for like where her brooch normally is.
Yeah.
But to see if it's still there, which I don't think it is at this point. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened to her brooch?
Yeah, and it's like,
then again, I don't think she was wearing it last episode though, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Might just be them throwing us off, and maybe she's not even Agatha Harkness at all.
I mean, I'm pretty sure she is, just because of how many. I mean, it would be a terrible letdown to trick us at this point, but who knows? Maybe they will. She could have been playing around, just pretending to play dumb too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm just wondering, is Agnes just another citizen in the town? We never saw her driver's license on the board that Jimmy Woo was working on.
Or,
yeah,
here's just falling. Maybe she is Agatha the Harkness, but she actually is a real person. Agatha just took over her body or something like that. I mean,
that's true.
And it's. I don't know. Dang it.
And it's like, does like Wanda have control over her, or vice versa? Or what's going on, It's like...
It always seems like there's like this weird push and play, or whatever, like push and pull, I guess is the word. So yeah, sometimes it seems like Agnes is the one in control, but then other times she almost seems like she's in awe and almost in fear of Wanda. And it's just, I think they're doing it on purpose to just keep us, on our seats. I mean, on the edge of our seats,
Yeah, and it's like, is she just doing this thing to put on a show for Vision, or is she... like you said, really, is she really Agatha? Is she really bad? Anyways, but when he takes his hand off of her, she starts cackling like a witch.
Right.
And then says, "Okie doke, neighbor," and then drives away.
Yeah, after he, returns her back to her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she's cackling because she's kind of having like a mental breakdown. She's like, we're all doomed or whatever. Like, yeah,
and it's interesting. I mean, like her laugh sounds like the Wicked Witch in Wizard of Oz sort of thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah. Okay, so that was interesting, and then Vision tries to keep going, and he gets to the end of the hex and starts going through the barrier.
Mm.
And we is it Billy the one with Billy's the one that's not fast, right?
Yeah, Billy's got like the magical stuff. Yeah.
He realizes what's that something's up with his dad, and he starts having a vision, pun intended, of what's a vision, and and what's going on as he's like being surrounded by people with guns and things of that nature.
Right.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Outside in Swordland, reality. Monica mentions that her contact that she had is only an hour away. The one that can help them the scientist who can help them get back into the hex.
Right.
So that makes me wonder if next week we're going to finally figure out who that is.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Because, she's been teasing it for a while.
I think it might be the big, because Paul Bettany, in an interview, the actor who plays Vision, he said that there's going to be a big cameo in this with an actor that he's always wanted to work with. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, that could be, maybe it was Evan Peters he was talking about, but it makes me think it's got to be somebody bigger. And they're talking about, and Elizabeth Olsen at one point said that there's a big cameo in this show that's on the level of Mark Hamill in The Mandalorian.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, I don't think that's Evan Peters. I mean, no offense to him, but he's not Mark Hamill. And, he's not, like, really the Mark Hamill of,
Who's that? Evan Peters. Who is that?
Oh, he's the guy that plays Pietro.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think he was the big, the big, cameo, but maybe he is, and that's what she was talking about. But I don't think he would be like a Luke Skywalker sort of,
no,
analog here. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be like a, somebody like Tony Stark is really alive, or which I don't think they would do because that would just make everything stupid.
It would be pointless, sacrifice.
Are they going to introduce us to Reed Richards, the Fantastic Four? That's one of the other possibilities. Are they going to, who is it? Is it possibly Riri Williams, who is Ironheart, who is basically the new Iron Man? In the comics, we already know that there's going to be an Ironheart TV series in the next couple of years. And in the comics, if people don't know who Riri Williams is, she was basically a teenage girl who was really smart, built her own like Iron Man suit, and then she's basically, instead of having like a Jarvis sort of AI that controls things, she actually has like a AI that is Tony Stark.
Oh wow.
That's basically her Jarvis. So somehow like Tony had like uploaded his brain to a computer or something like that,
Wow.
Before he died.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I really hope that that's what happens and that Robert Downey Jr. comes back for that show. That'd be cool. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just as a voice, that'd be cool. But anyways, there's endless possibilities of who this person could be. I mean, maybe, but I mean, the thing is, it just makes me wonder who it is. If it's somebody that Paul Bettany hasn't worked with, it really can't be. It can't be Tony Stark. It can't be Bruce Banner. I'm trying to think about other scientists. I don't know if he ever had any scenes with Shuri and Black Panther. But she does say that it's her guy, so it kind of makes me wonder. It can't be Riri or Shuri.
Right.
So, because I think it's a guy, so it's got to be somebody,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's, who knows? I mean, it could be anybody. Maybe it's, maybe it's some, maybe it's that Thalos guy from, that what's his face played in, in Captain Marvel.
I don't know. I just watched that last night. You talked about the Skrull dude?
Yeah, the guy that's like, basically the good guy in the movie.
Yeah, I just watched that last night, actually. It's interesting.
Ben something or other is the actor's name. I was just trying to remember the actor's name, and I can't right now.
Oh.
But anyways, maybe it's him. Who knows, That's what I'm wondering. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see who it is. I think that's going to be interesting to find out. But, back to this whole thing. Okay, like in basically Billy's like having this vision of his dad going through this stuff. We see what's going on. Darcy, basically, Jimmy Woo and Monica had left to go meet up with her contact, and so they're gone, and Darcy was still there doing some more hacking because she had some things that she wanted to find out in certain files. And so I'm still wondering what's in some of those files. But
right.
She goes up to the hex where Vision is coming through, but he's being pulled back in and basically almost dying because of it. She goes up there and just like, why aren't you helping him? You know? And they handcuff her to a car, and then Wanda reacts, and she decides to make the hex bigger. And so it starts encompassing the sword like makeshift headquarters there, and things start turning into like clowns and circus tents and things of that nature.
Yeah, she ends up, I mean, expanding that hex to like a huge swath of that territory. I mean, like we're talking like 6 different Westviews. Like, I mean,
yeah.
like, you know.
And people are trying to outrun it. So who knows who's going to get trapped in there.
Darcy gets stuck into it.
Darcy for sure. She's handcuffed there, and she starts yelling, "Oh fudge!" And
fudge, yeah,
yeah, which I thought was hilarious. Tell you one thing. What I would do when she ends up in that town, she needs to be that waitress she played in Two Broke Girls.
Oh, I am almost certain they're gonna do something weird like that, like to be so meta.
That would be great.
I mean, I was just thinking too about that, like, no, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking of like, it'd be hilarious if they did like one of the episodes, like the final episodes, they did like a Community homage because of, like the Russo brothers and everything.
Yeah,
of how they did a lot of the Marvel movies. I mean, I don't think they're doing this show. I don't think, but
yeah.
But
they've left Marvel, so
okay,
yeah. Endgame was their endgame for now.
Okay,
until they decide they might want to come back, but they've moved on to producing their own stuff. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
but before that, though, before she did that, when she was talking to Pietro, he looked dead out for a split second, just like Vision did, and she kind of like did her gasping thing.
Yeah,
he's like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "Nothing." He doesn't buy it. He's like, like. A sarcastic, like way, like.
Yeah, and my thing is like, when she saw him dead, he was still Evan Peters and not Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Right.
So,
exactly.
So my thing is I don't think she was doing that. I think he was.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually Pietro. To be honest.
I don't think so either. I think he's Mephisto. I really do.
Yeah.
That's my feeling, and I'll be proven wrong next week. But we'll
both be proved. Well, that's the thing too. Is like, I'm starting to wonder, if Agnes and Mephisto were doing this. And the thing I'm starting to wonder about this is that maybe both of them had underestimated her power, and that she actually almost trapped them a little bit, and so that they are trying to almost regain some of their power by getting her to reveal what she can do. So I think I'm starting to wonder if this was their idea, but then they didn't realize how powerful she actually is, and they just weren't. They weren't on guard, and then all of a sudden, they find themselves almost as like partially part of her reality, but they have a little bit more autonomy than the rest of the people do because they are spiritual beings, and because like Agnes from last episode, when I'm almost certain that Agnes killed Sparky, to be honest, and just to see what Wanda could do, because like when Billy said, you can bring the dead back to life, and she's like, you can do that, like trying to suss out her powers, and then this in this episode too, Pietro in quotation marks,
yeah,
is what I'm going to refer to him from now on, BHO in quotation marks, is asking her all these really suspicious questions, like, how did you do this? And, really, like, trying to tease out,
Yeah, he's asking a lot of interesting questions, and...
Yeah.
Yeah, and she totally doesn't trust him.
No, she doesn't. For a second, you could tell, and then she gets all emotional, saying she was full of grief, but I think she was being sincere in doing it, but I also think she was keeping her guard up as well. Like,
yeah,
to not give anything away, but also turn on the waterworks, so to speak, to which again, I'm not saying she's faking it. I think she's being absolutely truthful when she says that she felt like endless nothingness and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm thinking she was doing that at an opportune moment to kind of get him off his questioning, interrogation, if you will. Again, like I was saying off the mic or off the record, about a different subject, multiple things can be true at the same time.
Yes, exactly. It'll be interesting to see where this is going. So, before we take another break here, there was a claymation commercial here.
Oh yeah.
So it's interesting that in this ad we don't have that couple that are in the other ads.
Right.
So I find that interesting. But it's like a claymation thing with this kid on an island who is given this magical yogurt by a shark. Yet he's too weak to open the yogurt to give himself sustenance.
Right.
And then they say, it's Yo Magic is for survivors.
Right. Yeah, that was creepy.
That was dark
really creepy.
as fuck.
that honestly reminded me of some like Twin Peaks shit right there.
Yeah. Well, all of the ads are very David Lynchian.
Yeah.
The creator of Twin Peaks. Yeah. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting. I mean, there's like I can't remember what it is, but there's like I think a Greek mythology story that's kind of like that, where it's like a guy who's really weak, but there's like he's underneath a tree that's full of fruit, but he can't reach the fruit.
Yeah, there is a myth that he's like grapes or something. He can't. Yeah, he can never reach it and invite it or get a piece for himself. Yeah, a lot of really fucked up Greek mythology. Like there's another one too where a guy is pushing like a rock up a hill, and it always, as soon as he's about to get up to the top, the rock rolls down and he's got to start all over again, and just keeps doing it over and over again.
Isn't that Sisyphus?
I think maybe, yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. I can't remember the name of the one who's not able to get the fruit, but anyway, so so it'll be interesting to see what that, because I mean all of the ads are kind of like about traumas in her life, but this makes me wonder if this is about a trauma in her kids' lives or something like that, because it's a kid on the island, and I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean?
And plus, too, the shark. I mean, plus, that's actually based off a real commercial. Actually, it was for like a Hostess cake type thing, I think is what it was, and the shark was the one that like was trying to eat it or gave it to the kid. I don't know, okay. But there was definitely a commercial where a shark was involved of like eating or giving like the person this cake, but also too of the idea like a shark, something that's usually like a predator, and that's
And I think the shark was voiced by Evan Peters. It sounded like him.
Interesting. Yeah. And plus too, eventually the kid becomes a skeleton because he's trying to open the yogurt for like a lifetimes, and you keep seeing like the days turn to nights and years, and he's slowly decaying, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Like the whole decaying thing with Vision, and also quote Pietro, which don't think is actually him.
Do you want to take a break here, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some trivia and a few other things, and before we wrap things up?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
We'll be right back.
It's the ninja from the Ask the Angry Ninja Show saying, come listen to the show. We got the ninja wife to give you movie reviews. We got the conscript to give you the ninja news. And we got the battle to talk about your sports. And as always, it is the Ask the Angry Ninja Show. So ask me a question, and we'll give you the ninja knowledge you need for your ninja life. Search for us anywhere you get your podcast from. Just search for the Ask the Angry Ninja Show and enjoy the show.
And we are
back.
So,
back.
Anyways, Matt.
Yeah.
So, I asked in our Facebook group, which you can join, All2ReelToo podcast group. Also, by the way, I'm still in the process of setting it up, but just to letting people know that listen to our show, I have registered the domain all2reeltoo.com. So we will soon have a website. So
yeah,
for the cast that we're potting. And yes. Right now, currently, you can go to that website, but it takes you directly to our Facebook page. So, because I haven't had time to set up a website. Which I will do sometime in the next, few months here or so. It's going to take a little bit here, folks. Be patient with us, but just letting you know, we have that.
Yeah.
So, I asked in the group, what people thought of the episode, and, my good buddy from high school, Christopher Seibert, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name. He's a good buddy, but I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Anyways, he's a good guy. I like him a lot. We went to summer school. Just a little tangent here. He and I went to summer school together. It was pretty fun. I ate lunch with him and stuff, one year over at Whitmer High School in Toledo. And, yeah, he's a good guy. It was the summer of the O.J. Simpson trial. I remember that much. So, because we talk about that and other things, and a friend of ours who sadly passed away, right, who was murdered. But yeah, anyways, so dark times. Sorry. Okay. Anyways, Christopher's a good guy. Anyways, I just he says, I just finished the episode. I really want to know what is going on, what Darcy found in Hayward's computer, what it entails with Vision, and the fact that Monica has traveled through the Hex twice is showing the fact that she's getting her superhuman abilities or mutant abilities to become Photon or whatever her Avengers name will be. So yeah, yep. That's the one comment we had. So I thought I'd share that here.
Good comment. Good.
Yeah. I mean, good thoughts here.
Question.
Basically thoughts that I have too, because I'm just wondering what's going on, and I do think she is on her way to becoming that. Oh yeah, by the way, the operation that she finds in the computer that Darcy finds is called Operation Cataract.
Mm.
And when you have cataracts, your vision is blurred.
Oh. Okay.
So this is obviously a really bad or good pun here.
And it could also, again, manifest or demonstrate Hayward's sort of hatred or prejudice against people who have powers, almost.
Yeah.
Like, names it something really hateful, like,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like almost like naming your file, like, bitch or whatever,
Yeah.
like wait, what? Like,
might as well just call it I Hate Vision. Anyways,
right.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so like we said, the opening credits pay homage to the 2000 show Malcolm in the Middle.
Mm-hmm.
The Vision speaking Spanish and Wanda being turned on by it pays homage to the Addams Family.
Oh,
when Morticia Morticia would do the same thing with French to arouse her husband.
Interesting.
The episode does reveal the twins' future superhero powers when they were part of the Young Avengers. They were Wiccan and Speed. Billy was Wiccan, Tommy was Speed. So, yeah, like I said, the Cornet Theater in Westview was showing The Incredibles and Parent Trap. Both Disney properties with plots which mirror aspects of WandaVision, i.e. a secret superhero family with child speedster. Yeah.
Also, too, Night of the Living Dead was playing at one point. in the theater as well. Near the end.
Yeah. Interesting. They were playing Night of the Living Dead. Which makes sense because that plays at almost any kind of Halloween event because it's public domain and anybody can show it.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
That's cool.
This is the first episode to not have a laugh track. Besides the Monica Rambeau centric episode. Yeah. But that's just because shows in the sitcoms that once they became single camera sitcoms, they were laugh trackless.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Tommy. Okay, it was Tommy who responded to Quicksilver's suggestion of creating mischief on Halloween by saying "kick ass," which Wanda then repeats. So yeah, in reference to the 2010 superhero movie. And this is the first time in the MCU that we see Wanda, Vision, and Quicksilver in their comic accurate costumes. Late in the episode, when Wanda is concerned about Vision, Pietro says, "It's not like your dead husband can die twice." This is exactly what happened in Avengers Infinity War.
Right.
So, anyways, so any speculation as to what you think's coming next week?
Oh, geez. Well, I think the suspicion against, quote, Pietro is going to get stronger, just because, well, for one thing, she ended up shooting him with her powers when he said that.
Yeah.
And also, too, someone pointed, I think it was New Rockstars or Screen Crush, I don't remember which one, on YouTube. You can look those channels up. They're really good.
Yeah.
We do the long game where we kind of riff on the show. They do like the really short, like,
Eric Voss at New Rockstars is awesome.
Yeah.
Ryan Airy over at Screen Crush are both awesome. If either one of you guys are listening to this and would like to come on the show, please let me know.
Oh, definitely. Because,
love to speculate.
I pretty much watch their videos and do research, and I read stuff too. But I watch their videos and see what they've come up with, and it's usually really solid stuff. But like when she shot him to those tombstones, one of them had the name of I think a graphics designer of the show, and also some of the stuff was obscured, but all you could read was "not on her side," which that could be an indication that Pietro is not really on her side or is not really
interesting.
Him. And then that was right after she shot him with her powers, but also too. I'm starting to think that she's going to become more suspicious. She's going to be questioning him, or maybe doing it a little bit more cleverly because he's been catching on to her interrogation methods. They're a little bit too blunt, so she's going to be trying to do things to kind of test him out to see if he's really Pietro, just in a different body.
Yeah, like
or whatever.
When he's questioning her at one point too, she said she doesn't know how all this started.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Which I believe she doesn't know.
No, she doesn't.
So I don't know if she started it or somebody else started it. I mean, it could be that she started it and she doesn't remember how she started it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's going to happen, and plus too, because like I was going to say earlier and I forgot because there's like a million things going on in this episode, but like the way Pietro in quotation marks speaks about himself in quotation marks is very crude and like not compassionate, which makes me think that it's not really him. It's someone who actually maybe despises Wanda or despises Pietro for whatever reason. Because he says, "Oh, I was shot in the street like a chump for no reason at all."
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden I hear your voice calling me, and I knew that you needed my help. Well, if anyone who's seen Age of Ultron, which I recommend you, even though in my opinion it's not a great movie, it's good for research, a background. For this show, because that's what introduces Wanda and Pietro as characters. But anyway, even if you don't do that, they actually showed real Pietro his death scene in Age of Ultron during the beginning recap. and he was not, quote, shot in the street like a chump. He was trying to protect, I think, children or something. I don't know, forgot what he was doing. And then by doing so, he got caught off guard and he got shot by one of Ultron's controlled like airplanes or whatever. And,
I mean, he died a hero, basically.
Yeah, he died a hero. It says, "You didn't see that coming, did you?" Because that was what he always said to Hawkeye every time Hawkeye would shoot him. He always would go past, the arrow and kind of arrogantly say, "You didn't see that coming, did you?" And so him saying that, that kind of gave me the vibe that he's not Pietro and he's actually someone who has almost disdain for Wanda or even superpowered people in general, or maybe with Mephisto just trying to get her angry, to like get her to show her powers more or something. I don't know. But just that line alone when he said that I got shot in the street like a chump, I'm like, what? That's not what happened at all. Like,
I know. It's
so
unless it's self-deprecating, but who knows? You know what I mean? It's just hard to say.
But then again, that wasn't his personality though in the movie. I mean, he was cocky, but it wasn't that kind of Uncle Jesse cocky.
He's very much the personality more of the X-Men Evan Peters Pietro.
Yeah.
So than the Aaron Taylor Johnson one. So it's interesting. So I mean, I have a lot of questions. I really just want to see what Darcy turns into. But I'll be disappointed if it's not her character from the greatest sitcom of all time, Two Broke Girls. And
oh boy,
that was sarcasm, by the way. Anyways,
no.
But I do love her. She's so cute. Anyways,
she's a great actor. I mean, great actor. I mean, and this show proves it. I mean, I think everyone needs a paycheck. That gave her some money for a good 6-7 years or whatever. She's put her money to good use. So
it's all good. She's acting. I'm not saying she's not a good actress. There's a lot of good people that are on bad TV shows.
Of course.
And I mean, even the writing staff and stuff, I don't have a problem with that show. I just think that it just didn't work for me. But anywho, I don't really have any other thoughts right now. I just want to know what's happening with everybody because I'm very, curious as to where this is going, and I hope that we find out some more info next week, which I'm sure we will. Anything else before we wrap things up here, Matt?
Just as a public service announcement, don't become a spy for the Baha'i Faith, and which Mike and I are members of. Me sort of more tangentially, but just don't spy on their organization, against people that are thinking that they're leaders of a Sufi organization and that they're I'm being really obscure here, so no one knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
Just saying that
we gotcha.
Don't become a spy and to ruin the life of a person that gets 45 YouTube videos, views on their hour-long YouTube videos.
Yeah.
But this person's a prophet apparently and is going to change the world with their 61 YouTube videos. So don't try to wreck that guy's great purpose in life because you might drop down his 52 videos to 49 views, and that's going to be those 2 views are going to make all the difference between life and death of the universe. So just don't become a spy. Anyway,
just in general, don't become a bully.
Don't become a bully. And don't accuse other people of being spies.
Yeah.
When you have no evidence for that at all. And don't harass them and stalk them. It's not a good look on you.
And no matter what you think, Matt is not Jason Bourne.
Is that what?
Jason Bourne. So,
not,
or Ethan Hunt, or James Bond.
Wow.
Or even that character that Bill Cosby played in I Spy. He's none of them.
Wow.
So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, maybe check out some of our other episodes we do that are not about WandaVision. We have our latest episode that we just released this past Friday is an interview with Rennie Temple, it was a great interview. He's a great guy. He's a multi-talented guy, director, actor, writer, musician as well. He was a member of the folk group The Highwaymen. I think you guys will enjoy it. He was in the best episode ever, in my opinion, of All in the Family. And, good talk about life and entertainment in general. So yeah, check out All2ReelToo.com. It'll take you right to our Facebook page. And, check out our Patreon. Check out, Matt's music on YouTube. Buy a t-shirt at TeePublic. Help support the show if you like us. We're not making any money on this, folks. And I'd love to, keep doing this, but, if we don't start getting some kind of money, eventually we're going to have to stop this. Maybe, maybe not. But anyways, so, I enjoy doing it though. So, hope you guys all enjoyed this episode. Follow us on the social medias, on the twits and the books and the whatnots. Wear a mask, wear a condom. Be good to each other. Because this world's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
Let's see the good in it. And until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All2ReelToo podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.